Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alexa. Today I wanted to jump into making this vlog for this video I've been anticipating making because essentially this video is going to be a vlog of me reading Hispanic authors' novels. I saw this post about books that you can read during Hispanic Heritage Month, and it got me thinking that I have some of the books on the list. And since I saw that post, I went and looked up more articles detailing different books you could read for Hispanic Heritage Month, and it came up with so many books that I already owned, so I decided to pick 3 and read them for this video. And I'm pretty excited because the 3 that I decided to read I have been really highly anticipating, so I just thought this would be a really fun way to talk about the content in these authors' books and highlight their voices. And I didn't realize that actually the month is it starts on September 15th, ends October 15th, so it's not in a single month, it's like half of each month. So this video will probably be up afterwards, just because I'm kind of filming it during, I guess, technically the last week of Hispanic Heritage Month, but I still really wanted to get around to reading these books anyway, so I thought it'd just be fun to vlog my experience. So the 3 books I'm reading for this video are Juliet Takes a Breath. This one I actually started already. I am on page 86. And all I really know about this book so far, it centers around Juliet. She's a queer Puerto Rican from the Bronx, which I know this author is actually also queer and Puerto Rican from the Bronx, so that's pretty cool. And so far in the book, Juliet is basically spending a summer away from her family and her girlfriend and going to San Francisco. No, that's so wrong. She's in Portland? I think she's in Portland. She's doing like this internship with this author that she reached out to, and she just came out to her family like right before she left for this trip. So far it just really has like coming of age vibes. I also really do like the strong family aspect in this book because she's dealing with this like juxtaposition of being really close to her family and just like loving them so much and feeling like they will always have her back, and then this other side of her where she's like, well, if I'm queer, do they really love me the same? And just like dealing with all of that, and obviously it's very fresh right at the beginning of this book. Now, the second book I have is The House on Mango Street, and I think I'm gonna read it in this order. And then after that, I have Mexican Gothic, and both of these are Mexican authors. Both these books I've been anticipating for a really long time, especially this one, so I'm pretty excited to get into it. Good morning, it is Tuesday. I'm so tired for no good reason. I skipped my class this morning because I had a 10 a.m. class and I couldn't do it. So yesterday I did read a bunch more of Juliet Takes a Breath. I'm on page 149, chapter 13, so I'm pretty much like halfway through. I'm still really liking this. I feel like what's not working for me is the pacing. I feel like we're halfway through and like kind of nothing has happened yet. She also is kind of getting into like a fight with her girlfriend, or like not a fight, but kind of. I mean, yeah, they're like not talking on the phone and her girlfriend's like kind of rude, so I don't know about all that. It seems like that's going a little south, and she met this other girl at the library. So when you meet a girl at the library, I mean, it's kind of obvious where this might be going. What I think is really valuable about this is that Juliet is a character that's still learning. Her and this other character in the beginning, we're talking about pronouns, and the conversation like almost came across as like cringy because of the way the other character was just like approaching it and treating Juliet when she didn't know exactly what they were talking about. And I think that's kind of cool that Juliet is a character that's still learning, and she's being surrounded by all these people who know all this stuff and are super educated about all this stuff that she's not formally aware of. And so I think it's cool that it shows this character who is curious and wants to know, even though she doesn't already. And I think it highlights like an important issue, that you shouldn't gatekeep these ideas and this education from someone just because they didn't have it beforehand. I think it's really interesting as an outsider, like looking in, because it's something that I would think as a reader that this character Juliet would have known already, like all of these things that they're talking about. But it's interesting because she doesn't, because she's not like really having these really in-depth conversations with the people she already knows. So being introduced to this new group of people and this like new area is a total like culture shock to her, and it's really interesting seeing how she's learning to navigate it. In other news, I cut my bangs. I cut my own bangs. They look a little funky right now because well, like I just showered. They actually probably look their best at the moment. I mean, they're just not dry is what I mean. My hair is still a little wet. I cut like the littlest bit, but my bangs are so long. They were like literally down to here. Like that's not bangs. Like that's just not a bang. And it was annoying me so much. So I was like, I'm literally just gonna cut them. Like I have curly hair. Like I feel like it won't be that obvious if I do a bad job. And I feel like it's actually not that bad. Like I don't really care that it's really short because I like how it looks short and my hair grows really fast. It's actually quite annoying how fast it grows. So yeah, but I did cut my hair, so just had to let everyone know. Okay, I'm going to head to class now and I'll see y'all in a little bit. Hi friends, welcome back. It is a few days later. I'm not sure how many days to be quite honest, but I did finish Juliet Takes a Breath last night, and I definitely have conflicting thoughts about this book. I liked the content of it, but I didn't love the style of it, if that makes sense. It sort of was one of those books where you're just following the main character like throughout the summer, and it just lacked a lot of plot, which was difficult for me to like get attached to. And while I really loved the main character Juliet, I feel like that was the only character that really was fleshed out and you got a chance to connect with. And I really liked a lot of the conversations in this book about intersectional feminism and about how white feminism can leave out so many people. And that was really obviously shown through this one character, Harlow, who was the author that Juliet went to go stay with. I do think it was written in like a realistic way, where it was showing this woman, Harlow, who's like this hippie white lady living in Portland who wrote this book about, you know, having a woman's body and like periods. Like that's what the book is about. Like that's what the book is about, which already is like problematic in itself because, well, you know, like that's not how all women's bodies work. But Juliet really looked up to her because it was like the first time she was really like shown that she could be proud of her body and claim it, which is totally understandable. But then she meets so many people in Portland that really just encourage her to ask more questions and dig deeper. And so I think there's a lot of value in this book because of that. But I will say, like, the writing style was, like, kind of not my thing. It was very, like, stream of conscious. And I feel like a lot of the book was telling rather than showing. And that was just kind of bothering me at points. So I liked the book. I just feel kind of, like, lukewarm about it. I feel like it just had pros and cons, you know? So I ended up giving it 3 stars. But I did look into the author's, like, profile on Goodreads. On their Goodreads profile, I was looking through it. And they wrote a bunch of comics, which I thought was really cool. And then in the back of the book, like in their little bio thing, it says that she's the first Latina to write for Marvel Comics, and she writes for the series America, about America Chavez, a portal-punching queer Latina powerhouse. So I thought that was so cool, and that she was named one of the top comic creators by the Sci-Fi Network. So I have started the next book, and it's actually right here. I started The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, and it's pretty good so far. I mean, I'm not that far in at all. I'm literally 14 pages in, but I really do like how so far, like, the pages are very or the chapters rather are very like short and succinct, and I do think it's going to be pretty interesting because in the foreword, like, she talked about where she's lived and how that history of hers has inspired this book. You know, it's called The House on Mango Street, so it starts off by her kind of telling us like a little bit about her childhood and stuff. So I'm excited to see where this goes because it seems like it's almost mixed with like a poetry sort of format. Also, this is super random, but I took a Chicana feminism class like 2 semesters ago or something, and both of these books referenced like people that we've read about and talked about in that class, which I thought was pretty cool. I did like feel a little bit of pride at like knowing the people they were talking about and like knowing what they did for their community, and how they talk about them was like super interesting. Like, for example, one of the women they talked about was Gloria Anzaldúa. I don't think I'm gonna read any more of this today, even though I so easily could. I'm just in like such a tired mood today. I just like don't want to read. So that is it for today. Tomorrow I will jump right back into The House on Mango Street. It is a few days later, and today I finished The House on Mango Street. I'm gonna be honest, I wish I had better things to say because I did not enjoy this reading experience very much. I think this author has a lot of talent, and if I were to read like a longer book by them, or even like something that's just different from this, like a literary fiction or like a poetry book, I feel like would have been great from this author. But because this book is basically like kind of recapping her time on this one street in this one neighborhood, it's very like everything's sort of out of context. At least for me, like all the characters, all the neighbors and everything were just very hard to like follow along, like who was related to who, and it was just kind of hard for me to care. Like I just found a lot of it to be like sort of boring unless her writing really like showed up, and that's when I would like be more intrigued. And by that I just mean I think there were certain like phrases and moments where the writing was super good. A big part of me just like wanted to get this over with. Like once I really got into it, I was like, I'm not really feeling this that much, but like let's keep pushing. I almost feel like I liked the introduction more than like the story that happened in the book, because like in the introduction it was written like in a more traditional manner than the rest of the book. I mean, I really pride this author on being so like authentic, and like this is obviously a really personal book, so like I don't think it's even meant for like everyone to just love. Like this is for this author. Like that's what it feels like to me. It just feels like a really personal rendition of like what her life was like. I feel like this would have worked better for me if it had like more of a single specific topic, because it's mentioned in the introduction and it comes up like more towards the end of the book again, that she wants a place to call home and that she's always dreamed of like having a house of her own. And I think the presence of that idea and that topic definitely like drove this book forward, but I think it would have been a little more successful with that if it like kept at that idea, because I feel like the whole book wasn't exactly like that. Like it came up again at the end of the book, but like in the middle and everything it was kind of just recounting moments and people. So I wasn't a big fan of like the style of how this was written personally, but I do see the importance in this and how personal it is to this author. It just like, I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. So I'm kind of like in between giving it like 2 or 3 stars. I don't really know. I need to reflect a little more because I literally just finished it. But I am glad it was like nice and short. Definitely appreciated that. So I'm super excited to move on to Mexican Gothic. So I actually just took the dust jacket off of Mexican Gothic. I'm really excited to read this one. I'm excited to like jump into another book since that last book I read was so short. So I'm excited. I'm gonna put this on my dresser. Now I also wanted to show y'all 3 books I got yesterday because I went to Target and they had that like buy 2 get 1 free. So I wanted to show you what I got. Okay, first thing that I got is Payback's a Witch. This is one I was so excited to see there. First of all, it was only like one of them there and I got the last one. So I'm really excited about this book. I know really nothing about it other than it's like a new release and it has to do with like sapphic witches. I don't literally need to know anything else about it. And when I was at Target, they had so much there. I was literally shocked by the selection. So the next thing I got was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And I was never like super intrigued by this. Like I thought it was interesting, but I never like had this at the top of my TBR. But then I saw it there and I was looking up reviews and like I love this cover and I got it. And the last thing I got was so hard to choose. Like I couldn't choose the last books. There were so many that I wanted. I was like, do I get one that's, you know, more on my TBR, like more up on the list? Do I get one that I've wanted to read for a while? I just couldn't decide. It was so difficult. I decided to get one that's been on my list for a while because all the ones that I wanted that were more like new releases were hardcovers and I didn't want to buy a hardcover. So I ended up getting Anxious People, which I'm actually really excited about because I feel like there's a lot of mixed reviews for this book, but the people who like it really like it and I feel like it's like gonna be a good literary fiction. Like I've only read that one novella by Frederick Bachman, but I think a lot of people like his writing, so I'm just kind of interested. I've always been curious about this book, so yeah, this was the last one I got. So I'm going through the pages actually of Mexican Gothic, and it's relatively short. It's only 301 pages. I don't know why I thought it was kind of longer, but I really like this. I feel so fancy having a hardcover book. Look at the pages inside. They're so pretty. I'm trying to think what to do with the rest of my day because I don't really want to start reading yet, but You Season 3 came out last night. I've already watched up to episode 6 because this season is so good. I love the show You. I read the first book. I haven't read the rest of the books. And I don't really know if I'm planning to because I've heard like after book 1 it kind of goes downhill. And season 3 already I think is the best season so far. It is so good. And the fact that Victoria Pedretti is in this season again and is like such a big role is so fun, so exciting. I love her to death. If y'all watch You, please let me know what you think. So I'm definitely going to keep watching that today, but I also think I might watch like some YouTube beforehand. I want to like not binge all of it because I was so excited for it to come out, but at the same time I like need to know what happens. Hello, I have started Mexican Gothic today and I just read the first 2 chapters, so I'm not too far in, but I am really liking what I'm getting so far. So far, basically, our main character, Nomi, is going to visit her cousin who is sick and living in this house that's almost like a, I don't know how I would explain it, but it's kind of like a more Victorian house, like not in the city where Nomi's from. Nomi's from Mexico City, so it's very outside her comfort zone. And her cousin is there sick and she's with her husband, but I guess she's at like her husband's family's house, right? And there's like people who work at the house, so it's almost like a manor, kind of, I don't know, but I definitely already get like weird vibes because you can just tell like the house and the area where the house is just like kind of sketchy and like kind of spooky. I really am intrigued by this writer's writing style, so I'm excited to keep going. It is the next day and I have been reading Mexican Gothic. I'm 105 pages in. I'm on chapter 10 and I'm really liking this so far. I feel like the pace of this is slow at the beginning, but I almost don't mind it because it just really, like, you know, sets the scene and paints the picture of everything that's going on in such detail. And this kind of book just like, it makes me feel like I can get lost in it almost. Like, it feels really calming to sit and read this. I feel like all the spooky elements are definitely there. Not even like only spooky, but like gothic. Like the gothic horror vibes are really present. I feel like this author does such a good job at showing it. So far we're following our main character. She's still at this house and you're kind of just like, you know, meeting the other characters, seeing how they interact with Nomi. And she's very suspicious of the family and the house because it's really suspicious circumstances. Like, they're not really taking care of her cousin and they're kind of just like brushing her off with whatever she says. But I feel like what makes the book really fun, and I hope like it keeps up with like this kind of pace of the main character being so headstrong and determined. And I didn't even realize at first that this is set in the 50s. So she's even more of an interesting character because it's like she's expected to keep quiet and just be this obedient woman, but she's very opinionated, she's headstrong, and I just really like that about her. I'm like a third through so far, and I read some reviews last night and like some people were saying that there's like it like gets really gory and it gets like super like scary or like horror-esque, and I'm like so excited for that to happen because I feel like it's almost like that part of it has been kind of like a slow burn. Like, things are sketchy, things are weird. She's starting to have these like weird dreams, and there's like a cemetery that she's been like wandering in, and there's definitely like little things being dropped so far, but I'm just like so excited for when the action like starts happening. I'm also really curious because I can't really predict what's gonna happen yet. Like, I don't really know exactly where this is going, but so far it's been pretty fun. I think this is definitely my favorite out of the 3 books I've read. I really like this one. So I finished Mexican Gothic and I really like this book. I feel like I liked it a lot more than I even thought I was gonna like it. I feel like what I liked a lot about this was that the horror aspect of it couldn't really be guessed. At least for me, I mean, I don't know how anyone would have guessed what was really going on here. I will say, like, part of what I found so scary in this book was that the character got herself into this situation that she couldn't get out of, and that was just like really terrifying because you don't know exactly what's coming when it comes. It's really interesting to learn about and like see the history of like why this house is haunted, especially figuring out what haunted meant to these people in this book, in this home. I feel like that's what I have trouble with haunted house stories, is believability, but this book just came through with such an original idea that just, I feel like, totally worked. I will say I don't really like any of the other characters other than our main character. I mean, her cousin's like not that relevant of a character, and there's this other character that she confides in the family and like is the only one who will really treat her normal. So he's like cool and all, I just didn't grow attached to him. Like, I wouldn't expect a romance in this. Like, it was very lackluster, the romance, I feel like, but I feel like that's not what a lot of people come looking for in this book anyway. But still, this was a really fun and enjoyable read for me, and I had so much fun reading it in October. I totally suggest any of these books if you're looking for more Hispanic authors or Hispanic reads. I feel like even though I didn't love every single book I read in this vlog, there still were really good parts of all of them, and obviously everyone has different reading tastes, so I would definitely, you know, check it out if you're looking for that. I'd love to know your thoughts if you've read any of these books, or if you have any other suggestions for different books that are written by Hispanic or Latinx authors. But that is all for now. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I'll see you sometime soon in my next video. Bye! Whoa.